Hey, what's up team? Today I'm going to talk to you guys about how you work out whether you're in a deficit or a surplus or you're at maintenance in terms of your energy balance, okay? So in previous videos we've spoken about the nutrition pyramid and the importance of each component. So energy balance or energy in versus energy out is king, and then it goes into the types of foods that you eat. So the macronutrients, how much protein, carbs and fats, and then the micronutrients that we get from those macros then plays a part, and then meal timing and then supplements. But these three are generally most of it, okay? So with energy balance, so last video I spoke about you need to be in all three at some point based on your goals, because you cannot stay in a deficit for too long. Otherwise you can end up with some metabolic adaptations, which is sort of decreasing your metabolism, which is the opposite to what we want. Or if you're in a surplus for too long, then obviously you're going to continue to put weight on and it may not be muscle, okay? So basically, for you to adhere to a program, you need to sort of periodize and process and go through a process of going through all of those elements. But today I wanted to talk to you about how do you work out where you're at right now, some of the best ways to do it, and you know it's going to be based on your goals where you want to be, but then you obviously adjust based on what you find out. But guys, there's no way of getting away from tracking and monitoring, okay? So if you don't like to journal or use an application to count calories, then it is going to be quite difficult for you to work out where to adjust in terms of your macronutrients. But of course, just by using the scales is the best way for you to work out surplus or deficit. Because quite simply, if you do it for a week, you monitor every day your scale weight, and then you compare the first weight at the start of the week to the end. And if you lost weight, then we know you're in a deficit. If you put on weight, then we know you're in a surplus over that week, okay? But what types of foods will dictate what physique you're going for, right? If you ate, let's say 1,500 calories of donuts versus 1,500 calories of broccoli, gonna have two completely different physiques, okay? So energy is first, but then what breakdown dictates how you look, okay, and feel. So simply by using the scale, we can determine these two. But there's a couple of different options that you can use to track to be able to get an idea of what breakdown of types of foods are you eating as well, right? So option one, which I already mentioned, was like using an app like MyFitnessPal. In there you can count calories. It'll basically work out what macronutrients you used in what percentage and how many calories, etc. across the three. And then obviously we're monitoring scale weight and your exercise. Option two is one that obviously we push at the very beginning, especially when you start with us, is because it's less intimidating to count calories. Doesn't take, I guess, as much effort if you're not tech savvy. It's a great way to start. So it's literally journaling on a piece of paper, an exercise book, using the templates that we provide or the spreadsheet that we provide. It doesn't really matter how you do it. We just want you to do it so that we can get an idea of how many serves of protein are you having daily and then weekly, how many fats, how many carbs, and breaking them up into veggies and starches, and then obviously your exercise, your water, your sleep, all that sort of stuff plays a part as well in figuring this out. Alcohol is obviously one that we need to track too, okay? So don't leave that out of your journal. But if you do this daily and then you get a weekly sum of how much you've consumed of all of this, then you get on the scales and we can work out where you're at. We know what quantities you've had of each macronutrient, and you'll get a breakdown over here. So that's an easy way to figure out whether you're in a surplus or a deficit, right? But what we also know is we can go a bit further than that and work out by how much of a deficit or how much of a surplus are you in. And we know that the average kilogram equates to about 7,700 calories burned, right? So let's say that was the case over the week, you lost a kilogram in weight on the scale, then we know that 7,700 calories divided by 7 gives you 1,100 calories per day you average being in a deficit, okay? So then we know we've got wiggle room. We can still increase your intake of food and know that you're in a deficit, okay? Heading towards weight loss. And it's just the flip side. If you want to put muscle on or put weight on, then we know we've got that wiggle room to bring it down but still keep you in a surplus, okay? So I hope that sort of makes sense, but that is going to go sort of with using counting calories. But over here it's more about awareness as well as trying to figure out what sort of serves, what do you eat most of, and where can you adjust the energy that you're putting in across those 3 or 4 different macronutrients, okay? And then there's a third option, which I put down in here, but it's quite simply using a formula, which you can find plenty of them online, and it'll spit out based on, you know, it might be your body weight times 12, if you're talking in pounds is a pretty popular one, and it'll spit a calorie number out at you, and then you've just got something to work off. So yes, those work. Some of them are very inaccurate, some are pretty good, but you can't get away from these two in being the best way to build awareness and to know where to move forward, okay? But yeah, if you want option 3, I'm quite happy to share a formula that I probably trust the most, and you can start with that, but these two are probably going to be your best bet, okay? So in recapping, you can't get away from tracking and monitoring. It may take a couple of weeks, guys, but pick an option that suits you best. If you like to use technology and you like counting calories, you can do that. If you like to keep it simple and just note things down, but be specific to serving sizes based on, you know, our hands, palm for protein, thumb for fats, carbs is our cupped hands. Then like we can start to get an idea of the volume of food and types of food that you're eating, okay? But you can't get away from it. So I hope that sort of explains how you can determine, whether you're in a surplus or a deficit, or if you stayed the same, we know you're in maintenance, and that's about the amount of food that you need to eat to maintain that, okay? So that's a very simple way to work it out, team. So if you have any questions, please let me know, but I hope I've explained that for you. Thanks, team.